I love it when Joe Rogan and his guests talk about their psychedelic trips. I'm eventually going to make a playlist and compilation of all the different psychedelic trips that have been talked about on the Joe Rogan show. But this right here is David Choe's. It's pretty good.
And I like the person that makes me laugh more than anybody is when I'm fucking on psychedelics and whatever that spirit is that's talking is always like has the jokes. It has the jokes. And the last time, um, so this is a reoccurring topic. And once again, I gotta say this is not like this is just something I see in my vision quest, right? So I asked the alien last time. I go, "Are you real? Are aliens real?" He's like, "Yeah, it's you, motherfucker." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You never wonder why Asians' dicks are so small?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, I go, "What the fuck is your problem, dude?" He goes, "You know what we look like, right?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, the big eyes, almond eyes like this, bluish gray, no dick, big head, like, you know, like you've all seen that picture." He's like, "You know what I look like, motherfucker?" And I'm like, "Stop cussing at me, man." And he goes, "We came down to Africa. We saw you fucking hairless little, you know, and we fucked a human, right?"
This is what
This is what it's showing me. It's
okay,
like,
but it's not saying we fucked a human.
oh no,
right?
it has the filthiest mouth.
Really?
Like I'm dying. Like I'm on the like I'm. This is what I look like. I'm like in like nature, like with a shaman, and I'm
Really?
yeah, I'm like dying, and the thing is like just nonsense because everyone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a spiritual experience," like, and it is spiritual, but it's a long trip, so it goes through like hell, heaven, jokes, and he goes, "I came down to Earth and I fucked your great 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 grandmother, and I don't have a dick." Because we don't fuck with genitals. We were mind fuckers. We use our mind. That's how we have sex. And so we're beyond that. And he goes, "Look in the mirror, bitch." And I go, "What? You ever wonder why Koreans have such big heads and your eyes are a little bit like this and your dicks are a little bit smaller? Because we didn't have any dicks. Humans had dicks. We melted, and so you have little dicks." And he's like, you never ever thought about why you're blue?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You never wonder why you were born with a blue ass?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Like I'm like on the floor tripping. So I don't know if you know this. A lot of Asians and they call it the Genghis Khan birthmark. Do you know this?
No.
Okay, they call it. Jamie, look up like Asian blue birth. So a lot of Asians are born with a giant blue birthmark on their ass.
Really?
Yeah, and they say it's all the way back from something Genghis Khan did. Yeah, there it is.
What?
Yeah, look, go down.
Mystery
The
of the
Mongolian blue spot.
Wow.
So I was born with a blue ass, Joe. I had a blue fucking ass, and
Dude, like Avatar?
dude, straight. I have a picture of my and this. Some have a small one like this, and some of them have. I'm sure you could find bluer ones. But then after like less than a year, it just disappears. So it's called the Mongolian birthmark, and I'd forgot about it till the alien was talking to me.
That's amazing.
And yeah, there it is. See, mine looked more like that. So I was
Wow.
born with a blue ass.
And so they know specifically from genetics that this goes back to the Mongol days?
Well, I'm telling you, who gave me the answer? The altar that I worship at. Nonsense. So the alien goes, "You think you just had a blue ass out of nowhere? You're a fucking alien, bitch." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I gave you just enough dick to like, you know, like you don't need a giant dick. It's gonna, you think you want a giant dick. It's gonna get in the way. I gave you a perfect dick. You fuck people with your mind, and you're not yellow. You're fucking blue." And I was like,
Whoa.
"Oh, it's not a Mongolian birthmark." He's like, "Mongol, you're fucking alien birthmark." And I was like, you know, I'm drooling. I'm like, like, and look, I did a horrible job. His delivery is way more vulgar. It sounds more like Eddie Murphy in his prime. He's like cussing, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like in my mind, I'm like, this is not what I was expecting out of this spiritual journey. So yeah, I mean, it was. You never heard of the Mongolian birthmark? I don't know the exact
haven't.
story, but it's something with like Genghis Khan or someone did so much fucking that
Genghis Khan apparently did a lot of fucking.
Yeah, like-
there's some large percentage of the population.
that did something to make that birthmark, but it was clarified to me by that would really happen.
So that is actually that story. Okay, one Mongolian spot is present on over 90% of Native Americans and people of African descent, over 80% of Asians, over 70% of Hispanics, and just under 10% of fair-skinned infants.
You didn't have a blue ass?
I don't think so. Nobody told me. Maybe they just kept it from me.
My kids had blue asses. Yeah, some
That
Mexicans had
story
blue-
he's saying is in your psychedelic trip is literally the same story that's in the Sumerian text.
That's why when
That's what's
that's why
nuts.
when you say wait, in the Sumerian text they say Asians are spawns of
No.
or humans. Oh,
The humans, that what happened was these advanced beings came down and they manipulated our DNA and added their DNA. But by the way, I have to say this. This is this guy, Zechariah Sitchin, and he's very controversial. He's like a legit scholar, rock solid credentials, but he's also like very controversial. Like I think there's a whole website called sitchiniswrong.com.
Joe, you're talking to if that's for your audience, I already believe you're an alien, so you don't need to like.
I'm just
all in
clarifying
on
to people that this is not like, I think this theory is fun as fuck and I love it, but I don't know if it's true.
like people ask me like I think one of the most taboo things to talk about today is like you can talk about fucking or drug, you know, you can talk about anything, but when anyone goes, "Hey, where's your spirituality at?" or
Oh,
what,
boy.
it's like conversation stopper,
Well,
right?
you know why? Because anybody who asks it like that is annoying.
But like,
Where's your spirituality at
Okay,
right now,
right.
David? David. That's like
it's
that's
in my blue asshole
someone's
right now.
henpecking you.
But
What
like-
are you doing, David?
But like, I've never asked you that. Like, what is your thoughts on
You
God?
just-
I did it. I went there. Like,
Well, considering we're having a podcast, it's very different than someone just bringing it out of nowhere. I am not an atheist. I've never been an atheist. I've never been someone who says, I know there is no God.
Right.
What I have been someone who has said that a lot of the stories that are in a lot of the religions clearly have the hand of man on them. There's clearly some description that implies things that are okay to do because of the cultural values of people that lived 3,000, 4,000 years ago, whenever they wrote this stuff. Clearly. It condones slavery. It can treat women as second-class citizens. There's a lot in these words that clearly have the hand of man. But there's also some inherent deep wisdom and moral scaffolding that would make the world a better place, and almost all of them. There's something there that gives people structure and discipline and connects them in a community of like-minded people who believe the same thing. I think there's a great value to that that's underappreciated by people who call themselves atheists. I think there's also a great value in, if you truly believe you're living your life and you're going to be a good person, you're going to go to heaven, you will have that energy through your life. You will be carrying the belief, and it will actually aid you in your life. And that if you think that it's pointless, it's all just existential angst and it's all chaos, like, you live better if you believe that this is all for a better purpose and this is all a part of a God's plan. That might be true. It might not be true. But you live better if you think that way. You can do that and still look at facts and reality, and you don't have to be ideologically captured by some writing that was written down thousands of years ago.
Right.
But you are better off if you believe that this is all for a greater good.
Love.
Yeah, and that's probably what God really is.
God is love.
And love, what love is at its most pure is a force of creation, a force of like adhesion and bonding of human beings. And we know the opposite. The opposite is what's happening right now in Ukraine. That's the opposite. The opposite is
That's hate.
Yeah, that's murder and fucking